Welcome to M3 Minutes. I'm Haley Wolf. Today's episode is brought to you by SIB, a fixed cost reduction company that has partnered with M3 to offer our clients immediate savings. On this episode, we will have M3's Chief Executive Sales and Marketing Officer, Scott Watson, speak with Kevin Flounders, CEO of SIB, to learn how the partnership aids M3 customers. Take it away, Scott.
Great. Kevin, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate you and your team making the visit in. I'm hoping to learn a lot about what you do and how you're going to help our customers. But kind of before we get into the professional part of it, thought I'd ask you a couple personal questions.
Sure,
first.
lay it on me.
Just tell me a little bit about you. I know you've had just an interesting career, primarily in telecom, before getting into the SIB world. But I was intrigued when I read your bio, and I saw that your father had a one-man cabling networking company.
Yes.
And built it up to about $140,000 in annual revenue. Became ill. You took over the business and somehow turned that into Comstar Technologies with $50 million in revenue.
So-
tell me about that journey.
So first of all, I always try to make sure that people understand that that company was not just built by me. I took the company over. My father, he had a bad ticker, so he couldn't do the up the ladder, down the ladder, the stress, all that. So we came in, and it was just a temporary thing. I was just going to help him in between. I was kind of not exactly killing it at college, and so I was in between schools at that time, and came back. And I had one of the closest thing that I've ever had to like a religious epiphany of when I did that first job and completed it. I said, this is all I want to do for the rest of my life. Wow. And so I made some incredible, very early hires of getting guys that were about my age, like 20, 19. And these guys just, they helped me grow the company up to what it became. And it's fantastic. And a lot of them are equity shareholders in the organization now, and very proud of what we were able to build at that company. It was 20 years of being up on a ladder and meeting with clients and doing every job, and then understanding that at some point, just like some of the things we're going to talk about here, focusing the efforts on the growth of the organization instead of being the guy that has to be up on every ladder.
Right.
And that's the hardest part for me, because if you ask me what I want to do tomorrow, I'd want to be a cabling tech again. It was my happiest job I ever had.
Well, it is interesting. I grew up on a farm, and all the things I hated to do when I was younger are the things I look forward to doing now.
Absolutely.
To recharge my batteries when I have the opportunity to get away for a weekend.
It's one of the most interesting things that I don't ever recall as I was doing the job thinking that I was ever not going to be doing it. And so you take it for granted.
Right.
The laborious part of that organization is, just carrying boxes and boxes, hundreds of thousands of feet of cable, up 17 flights of stairs because the service elevator is out. Those are the things that at the time I don't ever recall myself thinking, I wish I could do this forever. But now, when the majority of my time is spent looking at spreadsheets and not really getting my hands dirty, it is something that I wish I could go back to. Right. the late '90s and run some cable. Maybe if you guys need any work here, maybe I'll. Your place seems very connected though.
There's a few cables. There's a few cables. Well, that's exciting. I can't believe it took us this long to get together.
I know.
Both in person, but also as companies. A large theme for M3 this year, we use the word partner a lot, but you'll see it in our upcoming partners meeting, our national user group meeting, where we're kind of reintroducing the concept of partnership, both with our customers and our valued partners like SIB. I know you all have been around since 2008, based in Charleston.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about SIB as a company And because I know from our perspective, we've heard your name a lot. We have customers that utilize your services already. We are very diligent and focused when it comes to picking out partners. We get emails and phone calls every day saying, we have one of your hotels, can we join forces? But we're pretty picky when it comes to picking partners, and we were thrilled when we saw that the cultures of our two organizations aligned so well.
Yeah, I know you were picky because I was the person making the first 27 calls that you said no to. Was probably me on the other side of that. We had for a very long time. You guys were an aspirational brand that a lot of the shared clients that we had in the hospitality space utilized, and before we were partners, we were utilizing your software to go in and do some of the work that we had done, and it was just we were very impressed with how the simple side of making something incredibly complex incredibly easy for us to work in. So it makes us do our job a lot better and more efficiently. And so yes, I do recall calling several times and saying, I think we should be partners. And then so I can definitely attest to the fact that you guys are very picky, and you deserve to be, because you in this industry, the same thing. We have to hitch our wagon to one company,
right.
And in the hospitality space, we didn't even think about it. You were the brand that we wanted to tie our name to and put our company and our efforts behind. And so far, it's been a pretty incredible relationship, even in the early stages.
Well, we appreciate it, and we feel the exact same way about SIB. We oftentimes don't do all the due diligence on our own. We listen to our customers, so that was part of our vetting processes here, was to talk to some of our joint customers and what was your experience? What were they like? Who are they? What are they all about? And we didn't hear anything except praise.
Great.
And people saying that not only did you meet, but you beat expectation in most of the times when you engaged with them.
So it's the under-promise, over-deliver side of our business, and a lot of people in the service industry will say that. I follow the rules of business is not that complicated. You tend to overcomplicate things. As long as you take care of the employees, they will take care of the clients, and as long as you deliver on the products and services that you say you're going to, the clients will stay with you, and they will be your best sales arm. Because there is nothing better than having one of our large hospitality brands having, there are departures within that organization. And when somebody leaves the financial side of one of those companies and goes somewhere else and takes us with them, that's the highest compliment you can pay us. So we appreciate very much that partnership that we have with the clients as well.
Good. Well, tell me, what exactly is it? What do you do? What is this exciting world of fixed cost reduction?
Everybody strap in, because you're about to hear a tale of the wonderful and amazing world of fixed cost reduction. It's an incredibly, I hate saying boring, but what we do is it's a very simple way. Our elevator pitch cannot be beat. Would you like to save money without doing any work, and it doesn't cost you anything? That's the pitch. And if I can't sell that product, then I'm not a very good salesperson. But talking a little bit about the basics of what we do is, you take specifically in hospitality, because that's probably the audience that's going to be watching this, you have laser focus on certain aspects of your business. Everybody understands the Great Resignation. So everybody is focused on labor, you're focused on real estate, and you're focused on occupancy. So that's where the people driving the success for the organizations have their focus on. What our job is to put our laser focus in the areas that typically people don't care as much about. And what we try to affect change in is your normal service bills that come into your organization. We affect change in maybe, for hospitality, about 35 different areas of spend areas on the SG&A that maybe don't get looked at as closely as some of the others, that's where we live. And we come in, and without changing any vendors, we're going to lower the costs on your ongoing and make sure that historically you've been charged what you should have been.
So it's not a situation, I have to think if a vendor finds out, SIB is working with ABC Hospitality or XYZ Hotel Group, they must live in fear, thinking that SIB is going to call and start beating them up and renegotiating contracts and
that is
threatening change and all those type of things.
That's the number one thing that people think about. They think that what we do is come in, and the very first thing we do is show up to your vendor's doorsteps and say there's a new sheriff in town. But we don't. We've been doing this for a very long time, and we're probably the largest firm that does this. And so we've built a name and a reputation in the industry because we only ever negotiate based off of data. So we don't go to a vendor and say it's this way or else, because we don't have an or else. We're not looking to change operations in any way, shape, or form. Again, it's a focus issue. Mm-hmm. Your people want to save money without switching vendors. The vendors that we work with, they understand that we're not coming in to move them, and I'll just pick some common names, but we're not trying to get you from Comcast to Verizon or vice versa. If the CIO of your organization or the brand standards that you have says we utilize Comcast in these areas, all we're looking to do is make sure that A, you've been charged correctly for the past 3 years. We find a huge amount of billing errors and 80% of those billing errors are always in the vendors, to the vendor's benefit. So going back and just making sure that these prices that you have fought for yourself, that they have been invoiced correctly and surcharged correctly and taxed correctly, that's the first part of what we do, is a historical look back, roughly 3 years, to make sure that your previous billing has been correct. When we then come in and make sure that your service levels are optimized. So because we have we have a couple thousand different individual properties under management, and we have 70,000, now I think I'm going to get the high sign from somebody here, we have 78,000 total businesses under management. We know the individual price points and the service levels for any sort of everything from a QSR to a senior living facility, and to all different types of hospitality. Everything from motel brands to select service to full service to huge big properties that are more resort style. So if you have a 153 room select service hotel in Albuquerque, New Mexico, we know what...
I think they're a customer, by the way.
They probably are. We know what the services should cost, because we have probably 50 hotels within the similar service area for 25 to 30 different pieces. So linens and laundry, telecom, waste, payroll processing, merchant services, all these different aspects of spend that we spend our time looking at.
That's interesting, because if you look at our customer mix, we have close to 7,000 hotels. And we're blessed in that we're able to serve the smallest to the largest management groups. So we have some extremely large customers in our portfolio, but about 60% of our business are hoteliers, owner-operators that have 5 or less hotels. Many of them have 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So it sounds like to me, just to a different scale, this is really a service that every single one of our customers could probably realize some type of benefit.
Absolutely, and a big thing that sets us apart from other groups that just want to push everybody into a GPO, every single one of those spend categories that we look at it individually for the exact location. So we don't look at, let's say you have 100 hotels. We don't try and get a price that's averages out to be good for all of those hotels. As a group, we look at it individually, because that's where our data helps us. one of the big aspects of how we are so effective in what we do is we have had well over a decade of monthly invoices coming into our location where we are compiling and curating a true database of pricing that it's not stale, it's not updated once a year, it's updated every single day. We get new data that's coming in that is for us to understand what the price points are across the marketplace. And with such a concentration that we have in hospitality, makes it very easy for that person that has a single hotel. We are going to go in and tell them what their services should be costing across the board, and we don't give homework. So we don't tell them what it should be. We go and we get the pricing by working with the vendors and providing data to them that a lot of times the vendor's hungry for. The vendor wants to know what the competitive landscape is. So instead of them getting a Dear John letter from a client saying we're leaving, we go to them and proactively work with them and say, we feel that this, whatever the widget is that we're negotiating, this widget that you're charging at $34 a month per unit should be more like, it should be 27.35 cents. And we show them the data that they will then use the next 10 deals that they're writing. So
it actually makes them more competitive.
It does, and that's why the vendors pick up the phone when we call them, and they know that we're not going to do what we call like emotional negotiating. I want it cheaper. Well, it shouldn't be cheaper.
Right.
We only go in if we can't negotiate on data. We don't negotiate.
You've talked about data and 78,000 implementations.
Glad you got the number right, because I got the number wrong the first time.
Or customers. I mean, that sounds like a Herculean task. So, I'm assuming you have more than 5 people sitting in a cramped office.
We do. We have crunching
numbers.
We have almost 200 people on our consultants, our analysts, our back office side. We are very segmented into the different areas of spend. So we have teams that surround each one of those different savings areas that we have, and they're subject matter experts that sometimes have 20, 30, 40 years experience. Sorry, Finley. But people in our organization, they were on the other side. They were on the vendor side for the most part. It's where I came from. I was the person that was answering the phone call from an SIB, and they're providing me with information saying, these properties that you're providing telecommunication service to, first of all, you're overtaxing them. It's a common practice in a lot of service things is to overtax, because it's simpler to do that than to apply the correct taxes for all these different line items. But to get that call and to understand like what it was like on our side of the negotiating table, it makes it very easy so that when we're going in and doing a pretty big merchant services audit, we have people that worked in and that's the credit card processing. We have people that have worked in that industry for well over a decade, so they understand the best way of coming out with what we want is a fair and equitable price between our client and the vendor.
It sounds expensive. I know when you first started, you said, we do all the work and we don't charge anything. But, our customers are going to want to know, is it really free? Does it cost me anything to have this evaluation, to sign up for the service? How do I do? It sounds too good to be true. Specifically
with M3, we've made the process incredibly easy. All we need from your clients is to show an interest in saving money on their invoices. As long as they grant us access into the read-only data that we're going to pull the invoices from, there's absolutely no obligation, there is no charge. We will do a complete analytics write-up of exactly what they're spending in all the different areas that we can affect. And we bring to them what we call a vendor transaction report that shows them this is the approximate savings that we feel we're going to get you. It's important to know we do not know the extent of what we're going to save people until we already save it. And then once we go in and if the client says, I'm interested in doing this, again, there is no charge. We do all of the work. We take about 60 to 90 days to go in and find all of the savings and get them implemented. So that's another big piece is we're not finding savings. We're finding them and we're implementing them. And then most importantly is we are managing that on an ongoing basis to make sure that all these savings that we come up with don't erode over time. And the way that we are compensated, it's a fee share. So if we're successful, we share in the savings as your clients save the money. So they're never paying us in any sort of go forward way. They're never paying us with new money. They're only ever writing us a check from saved money. So just to keep the math simple, if you have a waste bill and it was $600, we're going to negotiate that to the best-in-class pricing that maybe $300. We will share in that $300 savings as long as the savings stay in place. And that's a very important point. A lot of people in our industry want to save money for a month and then bill well into the future. Well, we know that a lot of the reason why the prices are not set to best in class is because over time prices can erode away if you're not managing it on an ongoing basis. So what we want to do is we only invoice on actuals. So that bill every single month for the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to make sure that our savings stay in place, and we're only going to invoice on the actualized or the realized savings that you had during that period. And that is what sets us apart from everyone else.
So you actually become part of their team. It's not just we do the analysis, we identify the savings, here you go Sally, here you go Joe, good luck.
Yeah, very much we're never saying good luck. What we will do is to kind of break down our process. Once we're given access and the client says, this is something that I think is worth my time, we feel like we're going to save you $800,000 a year. And they agree to it. We then immediately start and we look 36 months in the past for all of the areas of spend that we're going to affect change on. We're going to find credits, we're going to find overcharges, overtaxation, over surcharges, and we will get credits and refunds for the clients. So we joke and we say we show up with a bag of money and we say, here you go. Then we want to make sure that you're not over-serviced. So a lot of times, I'll pick telecommunication because that's my background. We will go in and we will find that there's orphaned services. So an orphaned service would be the location had migrated away from having a Mitel 3000 PBX and they went to a hosted voice over IP solution. But unfortunately, some of the services associated with the old phone system at that location were not canceled. So we'll make sure that any of those services that are no longer used will get canceled and stop billing. We'll also make sure that if any of the services you're oversubscribed to, linens and laundry, sometimes what we see is waste is not is set up using the example again of a 300-room full-service hotel that has a restaurant and 92% occupancy. We know how much waste they're going to produce. So we know that if their waste is getting picked up 3 times more than it should, we're going to get that service level to where it should be. But again, we're doing all of this in the background, and then we'll negotiate for best-in-class pricing and make sure that on an ongoing basis, as those bills are coming in, that the pricing is being affected and put onto the invoices. Because a big joke we have in our industry is everybody thinks that what we do is find savings. Finding savings is not always the most difficult part. It's getting them implemented and keeping them where they are. Because if we go in and we negotiate a better price for a service, the vendor many times is in a race to get that price back up. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when you moved into your house and you bought Comcast, you probably paid $100 for it. And now we'll embarrass you and say, what do you think you pay for that service today? Is it still $100?
I doubt it.
Yeah, probably not. And what happens is it doesn't double overnight. It doesn't go from $100 to $250 in one billing cycle. it's a very methodical price creep up. And it's I'm sure there's people at these large vendors that are always going through and figuring out what's enough money to add to an invoice that will not get the client to call in. And they basically figure out what that is. And that's when you wake up one day and you say, my Comcast bill is $300. So
I like the term price creep, because my guess is if there were just obscene price increases that hit an invoice, that would hit anybody's alarm.
It would.
So you're looking for the things that come in under the radar, and then just making sure that they stay where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and expecting people to have merchant services, linens and laundry, telecommunication, tax experts on staff, that's pretty unlikely.
Right.
So that's what we do for them. We provide those experts in the industry to make sure that that they know what a good price is for the solutions that they're getting.
One of our customers is Donahoe Hospitality in Bethesda, and Jack Fritchie used to be their CFO. Jack utilized your services, and I spoke to Jack, and he said it's probably not something that I couldn't have done on my own if I wanted to take 5 years and a mass amount of resources to do it. But you started the conversation mentioning some of the pain that's going on in our industry right now. People just can't get people. So I think this is fantastic, because they're worried about cleaning rooms and providing guest services and having a pleasant guest experience. And some of these things in the back office may not get the attention that they used to get.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a common issue that we deal with, not just in hospitality, but across the full suite of finance teams are being stretched incredibly thin. And when there's fires to be put out that are more important than finding out if your vendor charged you a 14% annual price increase as opposed to the one that you negotiated for 3%, that's going to fly under the radar. And so what we want to do is shine a light on those areas and make sure that we're the ones that are we're standing arm in arm with our clients to make sure that we are making sure that we can save them money.
Great. Well, thank you and your team for visiting the Mass Media Global Communications Center here in Lawrenceville, Georgia. But I'll kind of end the conversation, unless you have anything else to add, the way we started it, and that's about partnership. Yeah. And we just could not be more excited about welcoming SIB to the M3 family and the partner channel that we have set up. And I just learned that you all will be represented at our customer meeting, our partners meeting, at the wonderful, beautiful Don Cesar in Florida later this summer. So
now that's got to be tough. Where do you pick where you do that? That's got to be one of the hard. We're talking about hard questions that we have to answer today. That's got to be a tough one.
It is hard, but fortunately, it's the business that we're in. We've got some fantastic customers with some beautiful locations. The Don is currently managed by Davidson Hotels and Resorts. They've been a long-time customer of ours, so it's an opportunity for us to get our partners and our customers to enjoy some sun, surf, sand, and education, and being able to help one of our customers at the same time.
Well, I can't tell you how excited we are to be represented at that convention that you're having, but also using that overused word that we've said a million times today, partner. And we could not be happier in the fact that you've entrusted us to partner with your clients and turn them into our clients. And that again, I've talked about how previously how people would give us the highest compliment, which is referring us into to their brethren within the finance arms of these organizations. It's probably one of the fastest ways that we've grown this company from 2008 having, I think, 3 employees up to where we are today, just a think 2 or 3 under 200.
Wow.
So we're looking very forward to this continued partnership, and hopefully we'll be back and we'll talk about some of the great successes that we've had with the shared clients.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for coming in. We'll turn it over to some of our other teammates that actually do the hard work and the heavy lifting and climbing up on the ladders.
Yeah.
And we'll give our customers a little bit more information on
Great.
what they can do if they have interest.
I think that's fantastic.
Great.
Thanks again for the time.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of M3 Minutes. It was great hearing how SIB helps M3 customers lower their fixed costs and how those savings can be allotted elsewhere. If you liked this episode, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, hoteliers.